Hello and welcome to Throw the Dice, a series in which we discuss and explore DM tips, RPG systems, and general guides on how to get started or engage more with tabletop RPGs. Today, we're going to be exploring why you should play or run the Ryuutama tabletop role-playing game, along with our special guest, LittleCuppaJo, who has agreed to share their wisdom along our journey through Ryuutama. Ryuutama is a tabletop role-playing game with a focus on the players going through, put simply, a journey. Designed by Atsuhiro Okada, the natural fantasy RPG, as it calls itself, has a feel-good atmosphere to it and emulates the feeling of playing through a Miyazaki movie, for example, and going on a great adventure from a place of wonder and curiosity and leading them into a strange and exciting adventure along their path. Overall, the game presents a warm sense of wonder, companionship, and exploration in contrast to many other RPGs that focus more on violence and extreme action. Atsuhiro Okada, the original author of the game, is a lifelong gamer who worked in a tabletop RPG cafe in Tokyo, which was one of the first of its kind at the time. He wrote the game as a way to draw in more players through a more feel-good experience than at the time was offered. With this in mind, the game focused on a cute and sweet feeling, which was aided throughout the design by the three Ryuutama sisters, as they were affectionately referred to within the books afterward. The 5 individuals aside from Atsuhiro Okada involved in the creation of the RPG are Nagamori-san, Kobayashi-san, Nekazuki-san, Matsugawa-san, and Nakashiro-san, as they are also credited within the book. So, what do you need to start playing Ryuutama? All you need to start playing is the Ryuutama rulebook, a full set of RPG dice, a notebook, and of course a character sheet, along with, of course, your natural creativity and sense of wonder. A pencil and eraser also help, unless you're playing digitally, in which case, don't write on your screen.
Players in Ryuutama take on the role of a traveler, one of many people who, each for their own reason, take up a journey to experience the world at large. One of the first things you must determine as a player is the reason for your journey. Travelers begin with one of 7 potential classes: minstrel, merchant, hunter, healer, farmer, artisan, and noble. Supplementing one of these classes is your type: magic, attack, or technical. Each class comes with a trio of unique skills useful to various situations you may encounter on your journey. Healers, for instance, may perform herb gathering each day to gain herbs that can be used as items on their own, or used in other healer skills to help allies recover from lost hit points or status effects inflicted during the journey. Each type gains specific bonuses to certain stats, skills, or roles. Attack-type characters gain additional hit points and a secondary weapon mastery, while technical-type characters gain bonuses to carrying capacity and skill checks made on the journey. Choosing magic-type opens up the ability to cast spells for your character, which has its own subset of rules and checks in and out of combat. Stats for your character are driven by a particular size of die, ranging from D4 to D12. Checks you make during travel use a pair of stats and you roll the corresponding dice. Mixing and matching class, type, and a starting array of stats creates your unique character. At its core, Ryuutama is a game about travelers taking a journey and the wonders and troubles they encounter along the way. To that end, a large portion of gameplay occurs through journey checks, a series of specific rolls made during travel from one place to another. For all checks in the game, players roll a pair of dice corresponding to the matching stats they assigned during creation. Success is determined in a number of ways depending on the type of roll. For most skill checks, a table in the rulebook outlines whether even a kid could do better, or you're the best in the land. For several journey checks, however, a target number is set by the difficulty level of the terrain your group is traveling over. In order to succeed at the check, you must meet or beat this number. A typical day's journey checks go like this. You wake and determine how good or bad you feel that day with a condition check. You start traveling and see if you can manage it without getting hurt with a travel check. You do a direction check to determine if you find your way or get lost. You set up camp and do a camping check to see if you get through the night safely. Ryuutama strongly encourages that each check is not meant to merely be a series of rolls and affirmations of success or failure. The goal of these checks is to generate role-playing opportunities. As players roll, the GM should task them with describing what their success or failure looks like, and encourage other players to jump in and react. Of course, No journey is completely safe, and sooner or later your travelers are going to have to do combat. Fortunately, Ryutama's combat rules are simple, fast-paced, and incredibly fun, encouraging creativity and participation from the entire party. Battle takes place on a battlefield featuring 4 areas: the ally front and back areas and the enemy front and back areas. Characters or enemies in the back areas must be equipped with long-range weapons or magic in order to attack the opposing side's front or back area. Allies and enemies in the front areas can clash in melee with each other. At the start of battle, players roll initiative using their dexterity and intelligence stat dice. The total number becomes their initiative, which is not only their turn order, but effectively their defense stat for the battle. If you roll badly on initiative though, not to worry. There's a specific action you can spend your turn on called Assess the Situation, allowing you to re-roll your initiative in hopes of a better number. Players then collectively come up with a variety of objects strewn around the battlefield, which can then be used during attacks to give them a boost. If they can convincingly describe how they incorporate it into their attack, they gain a +1 to their accuracy check made during the attack, and the object is used up. From there, combat is effectively a series of accuracy checks and magic checks the travelers and enemies make against one another, narrating the attempts and the consequences of their actions together until one side comes out on top. The GM has ways of subtly influencing the action too, through a very special character unique to Ryuutama: the Ryujin. The Ryujin, meaning dragon person, is a character created and controlled by the GM. Though they do not necessarily participate in the action alongside the players, they exist in the game world and are both narrator and observer of the travelers on their journey, acting as something of a guardian spirit. The Ryujin offer these travel logs to the seasonal dragons, helping them grow, which in turn shapes the nature of the world over time. The Ryujin can learn to assume forms other than their native shape, and may appear in disguise before travelers. The Ryujin has powers they can use to help or hinder players, 2 types called Benediction and Reveal, and levels up as the players advance, gaining new powers with which they can influence the narrative. The Ryujin also serve a very unique purpose in the game. The color of the Ryujin a GM chooses to use in a campaign or session not only determines their available abilities, but it guides the themes and nature of the story being told at the table. There are 4 Ryujin in all, and each governs stories of a different tone. Midori-ryu, or Green Dragon, tell stories of adventures and distant journeys, tales of hope where travelers assure freedom and balance in the world. Ao-ryu, the Azure Dragon, tell heartwarming stories of the human heart, tales of love and friendship, the strength of family, and the power of relating to others. Kurenai-ryu, or Crimson Dragons, tell rousing tales of battle and warfare, where travelers pit themselves against the odds of enemies or monsters and courage wins the day. And Kuroryu, the Black Dragon, tell dark tales of intrigue and betrayal, where the travelers solve mysteries and face the darkest parts of the human mind and heart. Not a Ryujin for the faint of heart, to be sure. If it seems like the GM has a lot on their shoulders in Ryutama thanks to the involvement of the Ryujin, not to worry. World building is a collaborative element built into the gameplay itself. At the beginning of a campaign, the GM will work with players to create the world using a worksheet to guide creation during the first game session, or Session 0. After each game session or story scenario is completed, the table will also work together in similar fashion to create the next town on their journey, using the town creation worksheet to guide them. To this end, it's best for players to come to the table with an open mind and a willingness to collaborate on ideas for enriching and growing the world with each step of their journey. Ryutama's rulebook is charming, easy, and delightful to read. Building characters can feel slightly daunting at first due to the array of choices available by mixing and matching class and type, but there is no pressure to make an optimal build. The use of die sizes as stats make it particularly easy to jump in and remember in-game, as play is largely predicated on making checks or using skills tied to class, type, and stats. Similarly, GMs should find this system easy and mostly lightweight to run mechanically, with existing monsters easily reskinnable for on-the-fly encounters and few things overly difficult to balance. Preparing for the game can be time-consuming, as many mechanics are bound into knowing what terrain and weather the characters are traveling through, so determining the local forecast for your player's journey beforehand is almost always a must, or they won't know which item bonuses to apply to their checks. Items and inventory management also add a touch of complexity to Ryuutama. Those who don't enjoy closely managing their inventory may find the attention to managing items like rations and water tedious, but such tasks can be managed for the group by a single player through the party roll mechanic built into the game. Players have to track item size, durability, carry capacity, and stay on top of which items grant them which bonuses against what terrain or weather. It can all be a bit too easy to lose track of things in the moment, and yes, your gear can break. But that's what the Artisan class is there to help with. Ryuutama ranks around a 6 out of 10 in complexity, as it features an involved system with a number of moving parts and tracking some minutiae. But the rules are written clearly and are easy to remember or reference when needed.
There are a few pieces of additional content available for the game that expand the base version and offer far more to use in your own games. These include the Ryuutama Holiday Package, which is official and available on www.kotohi.com. This is a 27-page document filled with all sorts of holiday frolics, as well as lots of samples of upcoming supplemental material, the Navigator class, terrain cards to use in play, rules for Kaneko Goblin PCs, and a holiday-themed scenario. Neko Goblin Field Notes, an unofficial supplement. This supplement contains the following new additions to the Ryuutama RPG: 6 new classes, 3 new types, new physical and magical characteristics, new facilities, new armor and weapons, guild mechanics, and even a new school of magic. Thank you for watching this video on why you should play Ryuutama. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully this may even lead to a few more people giving the game a go. I'd like to thank the guest who worked on this video with me and offered their vast Ryuutama knowledge, which I definitely did not have at the start of this video, LittleCuppaJo. You can find the social media links to them in the description below. Please go and check them out, and if you did enjoy this video and you enjoyed their narration, let them know. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and fingers crossed, we can keep growing and bringing you more content in the future like this. In addition to this, if you want to support me further, you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/hollowtail, where you'll get behind-the-scenes updates, shoutouts at the end of videos, and exclusive audio versions of select videos. Before we leave the video today, I want to shout out my $5 plus patrons who have all supported me in creating more videos throughout August and the beginning of September. At the Mimic tier, we have David Hartley, Derek Burge. At the Plague Doctor tier, we have Sver Rayton and Felix Argel. Until next time, make sure to pack plenty of items for your travels and hope the Ryujin looks fondly upon you.